Connect to the Financial Focus radio show on our social networks, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Listen to past shows, get our daily market blog, and keep up to date on market happenings. You can also sign up for our e-newsletter on our website, northwestquadrantwealth.com. Let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to Financial Focus. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tyler Simones. That is Josh Fenili. We are partners at Northwest Quadrant Wealth Management here in the Great Pacific Northwest. If you would like to take us up on a free retirement review, anywhere you can hear our voices, give our office a call to get that scheduled. That number is 800-743-0988, 800-743-0988. Or you can always go to our website, northwestquadrantwealth.com, and send us an email and just let us know you'd like a free retirement review. And we'll give you an hour of our time to talk about anything in your financial life. This comes from the Center for Health and Retirement. The average retired couple spends 23% less money in their 6th year of retirement compared to what they spend in their first year of retirement. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I'm wondering about their sample size. But what I will say as it relates to that is I'm sure there is a decline, and we know there's sort of this precipitous decline for people in retirement. And so we always tell our clients, or we ask our clients this question when they're about to retire, getting ready to think about retiring. We say to them, if we broke the rest of your life up into 5-year increments, which 5 are going to be the best? And of course, the answer, most people don't get it right. It's always going to be the next 5. But it's always going to be the next 5, right? Because you're going to be the healthiest, theoretically, and most able to do all the stuff you wanted to do in retirement. And so if that's true, that makes retirement scary, right? Because you're going to probably spend the most amount of money in retirement when it's the scariest to do so, because you want your money to last as long as you do. And so that is sort of the conundrum. You know your spending is going to tail off in retirement for most people, but you can't sort of plan on. It's very hard to get, and any financial advisor or financial planner that runs these ridiculous simulations and tells you you're fine with a 95% probability, that doesn't exist. And we do it too. I mean, we have that software, but really it's a moving target, and you perpetually have to assess your situation. There is no sort of set it and forget it. You're fine. You don't have to worry about it. It's a moving target, and recessions and bear markets affect everybody. Yes, even you, those of you that are retired. Before we talk about price versus value, I did want to mention, I talked about Jamie Dimon in the first segment. Jamie Dimon is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, and sort of maybe one of the closest things to Warren Buffett that we're going to have when Buffett goes away. But in his call with analysts when JP Morgan reported earnings, he said, in a normal recession, unemployment goes up, delinquencies go up, charge-offs go up, home prices go down, and none of that is true here. Savings are up, incomes are up, home prices are up. So you will see the effect of this recession. You're not going to see it right away, though, because of all the stimulus. The bank has provided forbearance on 1.7 million accounts so far. More than half of credit card and mortgage customers in the program have made at least one monthly payment, but these vulnerable customers could stop paying altogether as their federal benefits lapse. And so it still continues to be about timing. JP Morgan, if you are running a big bank, you have a lot more data than the rest of us have on the behavior of the consumer. And so we know all the things that Jamie said are true, but can they be true forever? I don't think so.
Well, in the traditional, you have to throw out the traditional playbook, the betting on discretionaries and those cyclical names. I don't know if it's going to play out very well.
Yeah, I mean, because ultimately we're not going to get 30-plus million people back to work with the flip of a switch, which is what happened on the other side when we sent them home. One of the things I think, and this is, believe me, not a political statement, but I would say that, lockdowns aren't the answer. Masks are the answer. If we all want to have life to go back to sort of normal and people working and kids going to school, masks are really the answer. And that's not. And I don't like wearing a mask any more than anybody else. But I really want my kids to go back to school. So does my wife. And I want some semblance of normalcy. And if masks are the answer if that's how we get to do it, it's sort of a really small price to pay to be able to have some sense of normalcy.
Well, and I think you'll see this protracted period of social unrest as long as you have this heightened unemployment rate.
Right.
A
so
lot of these people aren't going
if you
to
just have
work
to have
on
a
Wednesday
piece of paper
morning.
over your mouth and nose, is that a real big price to pay?
Yeah.
It's sort of, people say, well, don't tell me what to do. And, I made the analogy to Josh this week. If Josh is swinging his arm, I'm a libertarian, through and through. But if Josh is swinging his arms around, I don't, in a room and they're not hitting anything, I don't care. But as soon as one of his arms hits my face, then I care. And that's sort of the analogy I'll make to the coronavirus, right? And so if wearing a mask is what I need to do so that more people can go to work and have jobs out there and kids can go back to school, it's a very small price for me to pay. All right, let's talk about the difference between price and value. And one of the things I want to do is talk about some of these stocks out there, Tesla being one of them, but Zoom or all these businesses, Spotify.
We can name a lot of them. DocuSign, Box. I mean, most of them are software as a service related companies. Yeah.
And so they're all, Wall Street talks about them, or the blogs or whatever talk about them on a multiple of price to revenue. So, most markets and stocks are looked at via price versus earnings. So you say, okay, what's the price? What's the earnings? And that gives you a price to earnings multiple. On a price to earnings multiple, stocks are right now expensive. But these super uber expensive stocks that aren't making money, that don't have a profit, what analysts do instead is they say, well, they're trading at a price to revenue of 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. To me, and they say it with a straight face, like that's totally a normal thing. But to me,
it's a contemporary valuation metric.
It's sort of like the late 90s when they were talking about price per click, price per metrics that didn't make any sense.
Non-traditional valuation metrics are in vogue again.
But I want to make the analogy to like a convenience store or a supermarket or some business here in Bend, Oregon, or wherever you live, a privately held business, a small business, mom and pop business. And so if we said, let's value a convenience store or a gas station on a price to revenue model. Let's say that it's a business that does a lot of revenue. So let's say $10 million in revenue, but the profit might be 3%. So that business makes as a profit $300,000 a year, which is great. But 10 times revenue on a $10 million revenue business is $100 million you're going to pay for a business that has a $300,000 profit. Now, I don't know anybody in the world that will pay for a business that $100 million that has a $300,000 profit, even if it's growing 25% a year.
Well, unless it's publicly traded.
Yeah, unless it's in the NASDAQ, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now. So all of you that say that we don't know what we're talking about, Buffett doesn't know what he's talking about, guess what? You are buying businesses that literally cannot grow into their multiples. And if you want some, just go back and look at Cisco. Just go back and look at businesses that traded there and still haven't traded there since.
Well, and a lot of them are actually bankrupt. If you're talking about Sun Microsystems or Alcatel, but when you think about even the fan mags, and that's probably the most instructive, none of them actually ever traded except for very, very brief periods of time at 10 times sales or a higher multiple than that. And they were actually capable of growing their revenues to the.
Well, we know in Amazon's case they could have
mark.
flipped a switch and changed the.
But Amazon
earning.
never traded at
Right.
that multiple, and so it's.
Yeah. So price is what you pay, value is what you get, and there's a big discrepancy. And all of you out there that are trading these stocks or thinking you're investing in these businesses, it's not an investment. It's a bet in a long-term bad bet. All right, if you want to be part of the show, 877-670-7117 or go to our website, financialfocusradio.com. When we come back, we're going to tackle some of your email questions, so stick around.